I think it's fair to say he's the face of ESPN at this point. And when you think of sports, you think of ESPN. And the fact that your mind goes from sports, ESPN, who's the first person I think of on ESPN? The black guy. It's just like powerful.
Welcome back. The Out of the Bed podcast is here once again for our Black History Month episode. We have two guests who've been here before. They're not new faces. Jovi and Dion, what's up?
What it do?
What's good?
Yeah. How y'all been?
Oh, I was gonna let you go, but I've been good. I've been good. Been in the house, chilling, working. I'm at work all the time now. School, that's basically my day. Get up, go to work, come home, do schoolwork, go to sleep.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
Work, I'm kicking my butt, but hey, we have to do a show every other weekend. But yeah. What about the Chris, Abe? Y'all good?
Yeah, I'm good. I am excited. There's not much that we can do inside of quarantine, but hey, we're pushing forward, right?
Yeah, we're pushing forward. I don't know if Joey wants to say anything,
Yeah. I mean, I was letting you talk. I wasn't going to talk over you. But life's been good, bro. Not really working, like supposed to be working, but still working. You know what I mean?
Working from home, yeah.
Yes, man.
I'm just saying,
doing a bunch of nothing. Living the marriage life with my lovely, amazing wife. She's awesome, doing great. And trying to get in the gym, bro. Trying to get there more consistently. If I get there more consistently, I could be kind of swole. So that's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, that's actually a
define monthly Sicily.
Huh?
Is that what you say, Abe?
No, I said please define monthly Sicily.
He said more consistently.
More consistent.
I got a list, bro.
I didn't know that was a word. I'm
got a list
over here.
Yeah. You said about going to the gym more consistently. Yeah, that's like a mental thing.
Literally. Like I'm disciplined with like 99% of things in my life, but when it comes to the gym, I can find any excuse to not go.
Yeah, I know, and I get that too.
Yeah,
because it's just like you go in there to like be uncomfortable, basically like the whole time. So
you're asking me to leave my comfort to be uncomfortable.
Yeah,
it's not cool.
Yeah.
We get that, but
and for the record, I'm also doing well this week. Thank you.
Oh, how did we forget about Chris?
It's okay.
I'm a terrible host, man. But this last episode we were honoring iconic Black figures, in history. Last episode we focused on modern but historical figures. This time around we're gonna focus on this generation, this era, and we are doing it from philanthropy to entertainers. What's the last category?
You see, this one was a little bit harder, so I think a lot of us just diverged as far as collecting the right people.
All right, yeah. We're not organized over here, but we're honoring great Black people, and we're gonna start with philanthropy. And I know Mr. Chris can start us off.
I most certainly can. Let me see here. My first person is Bridget Biddy Mason. She was born a slave in Mississippi, 1818, and actually gained financial success by, first suing her slave master, and because he moved them from Mississippi to Texas, then to California, which was a free state at that time. And she actually wasn't aware she could do this until she actually ran to another group of slaves. They said if you're in California, you can contest your master in court and legally win because you aren't legally a slave there. And after she won there, she gained her financial success by investing into real estate, and then also acting as a nurse and midwife for I want to say for better part of like 20 years. So she was basically like hustling the whole time. And then as she was like accumulating wealth, I want to say around the time she was about 80. So this was 1895, I think. Or no, it actually doesn't have a date. It says between 1870s and 1890, so it doesn't have a real date. But she donated the equivalent of $3 million to the Greater Los Angeles area, as well as built the first African American or African Methodist Episcopal Church in Los Angeles. So that was just, I don't know if everybody out there realizes how big that was, because she was born a slave. Like, she had no education at all, but she still did all this stuff. Just like that.
That's tough. That's.
It's still hitting me that she sued her slave master. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah, I was going to ask. Just like, I'm curious. What was her complexion? What was her education and stuff? If you have that information,
she didn't have any education.
Oh, wow.
Like she the only reason she knew she could even do it is because, like, as they were going from, it's very long and arduous that way they describe the journey, because like from Mississippi they walked 1,700 miles, I want to say, towards Utah, then to Texas, because her slave master was following a Mormon trail, but then he found out that there was a Mormon community in California, so they headed there. But on that way, they ran into other free slaves, and he didn't realize this, of course, because why would you let your slaves talk to free? Like, you know, that doesn't work. Because he apparently he just assumed they were also his slaves, and just never accounted for them.
How many slaves did he have?
Like, what?
It doesn't say how many he has, but it did say that when she sued her slave master, her family consisted of 13 women and children. Now, if all of them were actually like her blood-related people, or just people she just said were related to her, is also not very clear. But we do know she had at least like 2 or 3 children with her that were actually hers.
Gotcha. That's really impressive.
Yeah, especially in that time, like, to see a slave master, that's like unheard of. Like, it's like
right. It's literally from the ground up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Especially with no education, like you said, like that's gangster. That's tough.
Yeah. Does she know how to? Well, that would count as education. Never mind. I was going to ask, because she read and write? I mean, because I assume that she has to be like relatively adept if she was able to win a court case without a lawyer and other artifacts and items that are available to her at the time.
She probably just went on like a technicality, though, that the fact that they were in California, a free state, and she was like a slave there. And I don't know if I've mentioned it before, but she did wait 5 years to actually like sue him too. So maybe she took that. It doesn't say, but maybe she took that time to like learn up. But as for any type of education, other than like being a midwife or a nurse, nothing.
That's street smart.
Yeah.
Definitely cool stuff.
Yeah. Avery, want to go next?
Oh my goodness. It feels like show and tell at school. You know, we want to go next, Peter's the teacher, you know, all this other stuff. It's difficult, man. I'm telling you, just like this whole environment, the virtual world. Okay, but I'm gonna stop talking. So moving forward a little bit into modern day times, because that was really cool. I'm kind of mad I didn't pick someone that was like more established right now. But anyway, I have chose Amanda Gorman. You may also have known her from her world-renowned speech at the inauguration. But before I jump into it, let me get onto the summary. All right. So Amanda Gorman was captivated the world when she read her poem, "The Hill We Climb," at President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala's inauguration ceremony. The 22-year-old met the former First Lady Michelle Obama twice at the White House event with the Stewart Poets the National Student Poets Program in 2016 and again in 2018 at Black Girls Rock. She is currently working on 3 books and has spoken recently at the Super Bowl as well. And she plans to impress us more when she speaks of unity and growth in this current era known as the Black Renaissance. Really impressive young lady. She went to Harvard. She majored in, I think she has a master's in, not master's, I'm sorry. I think she did English and something else. But a really intelligent young woman, and it's just really cool to watch her and see her on stage.
Dope. Yeah, like when I saw her at the inauguration, I was like, dang, like.
Yeah, that was extremely impressive. I didn't expect half of that, and that was like, extremely terrific.
And like years, generations from now, she's gonna inspire more. So that's always good, for our people. But fast forward to my pick. I picked somebody that no one knows. She's a model and a fashion designer from Ghana. Her name is Victoria Michaels. She has a foundation in Ghana where she gives back and helps underprivileged kids. She gives out food. She supplies water. She even built a library. And I picked her because I know they aren't even in Africa or Ghana. You know how rough it is over there. They don't have access to things like electricity or like Wi-Fi. They call Wi-Fi Wi-Fi. They don't know what it is. So just for somebody to go like to make it out, be a designer, be somebody in the fashion world, and just say, hey, I'm going to use my resources to bring it back and help underprivileged kids. I just find that dope and very inspiring. So yeah, that was my pick. Yeah.
Nice.
I have not heard of her before, actually. I gotta do some research.
Yeah, she's low key. She's like, I had to dig for that. My other picks are kind of worldly known, but yeah, this one was a pick.
Does she live here or in Ghana?
I think she's always around. You know how Ghanaians like when they make it in and out of Europe and Ghana, and then so she's always in and out. Yeah, but it's dope. And so, Dion, you got one that could trump mine.
So for mine, I also picked somebody who, relatively unknown. I picked Kobe Bryant. Wow. But as a philanthropist, and not as an entertainer, because post-playing career, he was very big on, I could have picked him for entrepreneur too, because he had all of these different type of businesses, but specifically entrepreneurship, because as you guys may know, he was very big in trying to, push and support women's sports and specifically women's basketball. Mm-hmm. And outside of the fact that Kobe is my favorite player, and so I'm gonna pick him for that reason, but also because women's basketball is actually how I started into coaching in the first place. That was the first team I had ever coached was a women's basketball team, and so you kind of get a different experience coaching women's than you do men's. And I think Kobe was like, he saw that, especially having his daughters and kind of being around, like he would always be going to the UConn games, seeing Gino Auriemma and all of these things. And he was trying to make it like, not so, because we've all seen the jokes or whatever about the WNBA and stuff, but he was trying to be like, no, like these women can hoop. Like the people in the WNBA is going to bust a random dude on the street. Like if you're not an elite basketball player, they're going to beat you. And he was trying to push that and trying to kind of teach the game from that level and kind of bring that awareness. And I think, I may be wrong, but he was the first like major athlete to push like a sport that was not his own, in terms of like not the NBA, but in terms of like he was pushing the WNBA and college women's basketball. Like you don't really see that. Like, yeah, you might get like Clarissa Shields, who's a female boxer, you don't necessarily see, like you might see them supporting, but you don't see them going all out to push for like this. And Kobe probably paid more attention to the WNBA and women's sports than he did to the NBA. Like, and it's kind of crazy to see like a figure of that magnitude, like Kobe, probably one of the 3 most famous basketball players ever. most known for the NBA is like, nah, bump that. We're not even going to focus on that. I'm here for the women. I'm here to support that. And I think that is something that's, like I said, specifically coaching women and seeing like the view on women's basketball, seeing how he's trying to go around changing that was like, I think that's one of like the dopest things an athlete could do.
Yeah, most definitely. And I get that 100% too. Cause it's just like, like just like going to like public school, all the jokes that comes with the WNBA and stuff like that. And then like as we get older, we like you look at like how much they're actually making, these professional athletes that will, like you said, like bust pretty much anybody who's not also a professional, get paid so overwhelmingly, like, or rather, I guess underwhelmingly, I guess is the correct way to phrase that, because they don't hardly really get paid half, not even a quarter of their worth most of the time. And that's crazy to me.
Yeah. And another reason why I wanted to pick Kobe for philanthropy is because like when we think philanthropy, the first thing that I thought of, I can't speak for everyone else, but was like, all right, who can I find that gives the most money to X and X cause? But when I was like, is that all philanthropy is? Like, I feel like there's got to be more. And one part of the definition is also time. And I think me personally, a lot of time, I didn't mean to repeat the word time, but a lot of time is more important than the money that you give. Because now you see, like you saw, I don't know if you guys saw Naomi Osaka after she beat Serena, she out here wearing the Kobe jacket. She said Kobe was a huge motivator to her. And so it's like, you can just see, like, I don't know how much money he gave to the cause, but you can definitely see all the time that he put in, and you can definitely see the impact that he's making on people's lives, even when he's not even here anymore.
Yeah. When he passed, just to see the amount of female basketball players that like honored him was like astonishing. I didn't know he had that much impact on the WNBA and even the college basketball players. It's like a lot of them. I remember one girl, I forgot what college she played, but she had a game-winning shot, and she was like, "Yeah, that's me being Mamba," or something like that. Just so the inspiration is just like crazy.
Even outside of basketball, like you be seeing football players talking about Mamba mentality all the time. Yeah. So he just affected everybody. Any type of athlete looked at Kobe in a special way.
He is literally something that would probably live on like forever. Yeah, because you're right. Because like people do like always say like Mamba mentality, and like I knew where it came from, but I never actually like thought about it like that because I'm just so used to like thinking about it myself. Like Mamba mentality, like it's just like a normal saying. But we're talking about the same. Everyone's talking about the same person. We're all talking about Kobe.
Yeah, and it's crazy, right? Because to tie this all back to like Kobe's involvement with women's activities, I didn't even know this until like last year, but that whole Black Mamba mentality came from Kill Bill. And I don't know if you guys have seen Kill Bill, but the main character is the bride, and it's Uma Thurman, but like his logo and everything is from that movie. And it's crazy to see like she is a woman protagonist out here giving hands to everybody, not caring about nobody. And like the viciousness of her, you're like, that is where Kobe drew the inspiration for the Black Mamba. And to see like started from a woman, now he's passing that same mentality over, like in real life, obviously that was a movie, but passing that same mentality on, it just comes full circle.
I never caught that. Thank you. That's literally.
I was watching the movie last year, and she pulled out her sword, and I was like, "That looks like the Kobe logo." And then I paused it, and I was like, "No, that is the Kobe logo." So I started doing research, and he said in an interview, he was like, "Yeah, he was watching Kill Bill, and he was just like, that's what I'm trying to be." And I was like, "Never knew that."
I had a quick question. Is there any is there any link between Hattori Hanzo, the sword manufacturer, whatnot, and Kobe?
I would think because he was the one that made the sword. So I'm maybe in that sort of way. That's the only connection that I saw. But as far as like anything deeper than that, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I was just curious about the symbolism there between like, steel and, warrior and basketball or something. I don't know. It was a weird connection that
was there. Rest in peace, Kobe. Next guy, Jovi. Who you got?
As my friend Dion, I also have an NBA legend for philanthropy. not for entertainment. I had Mr. David Robinson, also known as the Admiral, 2-time champion. But David Robinson, he founded a school called Carver Academy. He put $9 million into this school. Carver Academy went on to serve a lot of multicultural students ever since it opened its doors in 2001. And the reason I picked this is because my mom's a teacher. My wife is a teacher. So like anything that has to do with education, furthering education is just like, it resonates with me a little different. You feel me? And it's just that you see a bunch of NBA players, you see a bunch of professional athletes who get all this money and they're just like, yeah, it's my money. Like, I'm just going to blow it because I earned it. This is for me. But to see someone out here create a school, which is like, it's part of his legacy, but this is going to impact so many more lives than he could ever touch on his own. So just the strength of creating a school just sat well with me. So I chose David Robinson for starting the George Washington Carver Academy.
Plus, you know what's crazy about what you just said? I went to an elementary school called Carver Elementary.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
Wow, this is a middle school, but that's cool.
Yeah. I went to school. So yeah, that's dope. I knew David Robinson was a philanthropist in some way. I just didn't know he had a school. That's dope.
Yeah, very, very. I mean, other than LeBron, I can't think of any athlete who's done anything like that.
I think it's pretty cool that he named it after, the guy who created peanut butter and stuff. Just an invention that's I said interventionalist. I'm sorry. An American icon as far as building inventions and stuff.
Yeah. That's dope. So for our next category, entrepreneurs. Chris, who you got there?
I have Mary Ellen Pleasant, who was again also born a slave. Just for the rest of the list I chose is just everybody that y'all don't know. Just in case y'all wondering like why y'all don't know these people, I just chose people that you definitely don't know.
Yeah.
So again, I chose Mary Ellen Pleasant. She was also born a slave, born in Georgia, but she was actually sent up north to also be a slave up there. But little did her slave master know that it was actually illegal to be a slave up there. So he accidentally sold her to abolitionist, and she was raised to read and write. She was still a servant, but that was mostly under the guise so they could like educate her without having any issues up that way. And later on in her life, she actually married a fairly rich plantation owner named, I believe it was John Pleasant. Actually, there's like a few different abbreviations for now. I'm just going to leave it as John Pleasant. And after he passed away due to whatever circumstances, that was very unclear, she actually became acquainted with a man named John Brown, who was also an abolitionist. And he was just a very, I guess, big impact in her life. I believe he also helped her decide later in her life that she was going to become how do I say this without being, because it just says abolitionist, but what she was essentially doing, she was guiding people to the Underground Railroad, but she was leading them to California because, again, that was also a free state during that time. And she actually married someone else after her first husband died because it looked kind of suspicious, having this woman go back and forth all the time and having all these different Black people with her and never a white person. So she actually married a white guy, but eventually he also later on passed on. But after that, she actually became a businesswoman because after she inherited her late husband's wealth, she made a permanent residence in California, to which she decided she was going to invest into different businesses. But to her, and this was actually to her advantage, because since she was a Black woman, and even though California was a free state, Black people were still obviously looked down upon. So whatever she was doing, people thought it was like a lot of people thought it was stupid, except for one person who later on became her business partner. And they actually accumulated a wealth that was almost equivalent to $1 billion in today's world. They were buying up dairies, laundromat. Well, they just called them laundry, but laundromats, Wells Fargo. She started the Bank of California, and just all while she was also still trying to help Black people like come to the free state. Not as much as she did in her younger years, but still advocating, still about I can say the word abolish. Somebody say that word for me, please. Cause I'm just gonna keep tripping over it.
Abolish. You got it.
No, I could say abolish, but it was the person.
Abolitionist.
Thank you.
Okay.
Because I saw Peter and Javon, so I was tripping with that, but they weren't gonna say nothing. So I appreciate you, Dion. You're a real one. That's what friends do. But unfortunately, later in her life, she was actually sued by her business partner's fiance because when he died, all her stuff and his stuff was mixed up together, and just being Black in that situation did not work out in her favor at all, because they literally had their finances together, because like no one took a Black woman serious when she's saying she's doing business, so they kind of used him as the guys to make all this seem like legit. So they literally put their finances together, and they had their names on everything. But to her disadvantage, since they couldn't like this say which was what, everything went to his fiance. So she kind of died in poverty.
That's rough. I'm sorry. I'm always speaking. Someone else want to go?
No, it was just like I'm just also just kind of just as I'm reading this, I'm still just kind of baffled at this too, because I had to go over this again this morning. I'm still kind of baffled. It's just like also another person who went from slave, but she was in a better situation because she ended up with abolitionists. Thank you, Dion. and and she was able to from an early age start trying to help people. And then she still, if you want to, just keep it real, like she's probably one of the richest people, Black people, to like ever like live, even in today's world, because her wealth was almost equivalent to $1 billion.
That's really cool. Sorry. I always love hearing those stories that are so underground that you can't really like fathom what just happened, but it's just really hard and heartbreaking to hear that, she went so high just to fall so low. But yeah, thank you for sharing that. That was really cool.
Yeah. Product of the time. Go.
Now, I was just wondering if I doubt they said it in the article, but if your first person and your second person ever like ran into each other.
I was looking that up, and they were alive in the same time. They were in California at the same time, but they never said they were together at the same time or ever met. I have to assume they were, because they both were like giving a lot of money to like California. Mm-hmm. So I can only assume, but it doesn't say anywhere.
Yeah. Oh, before I forget, so is that John Brown that you mentioned, the same one that fought at Harper's Ferry?
It is indeed.
Okay, and did she fund the guns and supplies up there?
It didn't say exactly what, but she was one of his like she did financially support him.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. I was just curious because that's very Pacific, and you mentioned white man, and you said John Brown. I was like, I remember Nat Turner, John Brown. Remember they were like really hard, fight the man types.
Yeah.
So.
From what I gather, he was very much a. He said, rather, and I took this quote here. He said, I am an instrument of God, and he was born to abolish slavery.
Wow,
that's violence.
That's messed up. That's that Old Testament type stuff. But yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah. Ave, who you got?
Okay, so I kind of goofed. this guy's story has just always like impressed me when I was a kid, hearing it like in elementary school. So I chose Sean Corey Carter, also known as Jay-Z. So it's truly the tale of rags to riches. You know, he grew up in the projects. He had quite a few things that worked against him in his life. So he went to music as a way to escape it and all the drugs and violence and the poverty that surrounded the Marcy projects. So I'm going to gloss over quite a few things. I'm pretty sure you all know him. So in 1989, he joined the rapper Jaz-O, who taught him all the ropes. And he eventually took his namesake and eventually became Jay-Z to honor his mentor, basically. Mm-hmm. So beyond the award-winning and pretty impressive career as the rapper Jay-Z, he eventually turned to the side business of music and became the president of Def Jam Records. He signed a joint venture of $150 million with Roc Nation, which put him on the map, and he started to diversify his portfolio. Specifically, he owned major clothing lines, helped sponsor a bunch of different musical artists. He owned a sports bar. He eventually started a streaming service with Tidal, and he owns stakes with Uber, Amon de Bognac, and finally he owns a part of the New Jersey Nets. One of my favorite lines from him was, "I'm not a businessman, I am a businessman." It's really arrogant, but really cool, and it just shows how he used his platform to ascend further than what he thought he can do.
Business wise, he's like, I remember I saw this picture of it was like a tree of like the people that was like when he started like his record company Rockefeller, right? Mm-hmm. It was a tree of the artists and the success and the businesses. Bro, it's like huge, man. From Rihanna to Kanye.
Yeah, he's
all like, and and then their businesses. So it's like he literally created a franchise.
Yeah, like I'm not taking anything away from the man, but it's just one of the things. Like he learned the game and he learned to play it well. So it's really cool to say he did this all with a high school diploma.
Yeah, that's a good one, man. I think that's kind of like my forte. But Dion, who you got, bro?
So it's crazy that you want to go?
You know what he's going to brother. yeah, my bad. I was supposed to go. Oh, you go. You were talking, so. Oh.
All right, no. I was just gonna say the connection. How you said that. I didn't even know that Jay-Z owned part of Uber, but the person I had, Ursula Burns, is actually currently on the board of directors for Uber. And she's on the board. She's a board member for a couple of different companies, but Uber is probably the biggest one. But the reason that I specifically picked her is because she was the first Black woman to be a CEO of a Fortune 500 company, Xerox, which we all know, the fax machines, the printers, copiers, all of that. But it's crazy because, like, to see the evolution of just like our people just over time, and to hear like the first anything is just like at one point, at a certain point, you're like, okay, yeah, that's great. And then you're like, wait, now is the first? And I'm looking and I was like, this was in 2009. Like this was not even like last century. Like this was in 2009 where she became the first Black woman owner or CEO of a Fortune 500 company. And then I think even in 2014, she was named the 22nd most powerful woman in the world. And I'm sitting here like, until I was like, I obviously I know Xerox, I know Uber, did not know a thing about her. I think I've heard her name once or twice, but didn't know a thing about her. Meanwhile, this whole time, she's 22nd most powerful woman in the world. And she even worked in the White House. And so I'm just sitting here like even like I'm looking here on our Wikipedia page and like there's so little information outside of like her career in Xerox. Like it doesn't even have where she was born. And I'm just like, what? Like this is crazy. Like the things that she's doing, being a board member of 3 different companies, 2 of them overseas, one of them being Uber, which I mean, they're blown up over the last year, and I've been watching a little bit too much CNBC, but they're even like their stock prices have been going up a little bit now. And then all of the things that she's been doing, I'm like, to see like her page be so small, I'm just like, dang. But just some other stuff. She went to Columbia, which we know is a very, very prestigious school. And I think it's important to see, like, she probably was like, not only just being Black, but being a Black woman was probably like one of the few, and wherever she was at, like, I wouldn't be surprised if she was the only woman, Black woman on the board of directors of Uber, or probably one of the only to graduate from her class and all of this stuff. So I was trying to when I was trying to figure out like who I wanted to pick, I was like, yeah, I almost picked Jay-Z, but I was like, nah, I want to do somebody who doesn't get like, the shine that like people who we should know about, like, even if you're not in the business world, like, I feel like everybody knows what a Fortune 500 company is. Like, I wanted to pick somebody who was like, we need to shine a little bit of light on that.
Yeah, that's dope that a Black woman has, that much power. Because if you look at it now, Uber is like it's like a word we say, oh, I'm gonna get Uber.
Mm-hmm.
One says I'm gonna get a Lyft, everybody says I'm gonna get an Uber. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like a term now, and it's like, it's honestly like one of the fastest driven businesses in the past decade.
Probably. I mean, it's replaced taxis.
Yeah, like literally. So that's a testament to her greatness.
My bad.
No, go ahead. Okay. Yeah, I'll keep it short then. Yeah, to your reason they may not have a lot of information on her, it's probably because she prefers it that way, because, this is a 1%er at the end of the day, and they prefer not all their business to be out in the light. I mean, what's the space? And Bill Gates, yeah, he just gained like $4 billion since the COVID pandemic. So that just shows you something about his information. He's coming out with all these more humanitarian level stuff. But yeah, I'm gonna stop talking because I have my own problems with Bill Gates.
I was just gonna say that I promised Dion like looked at my list of people and just like, how can I closely match it to Jovi's? So Peter, let me go next because mine's like just like Dion's again. Because the person I picked is Franklin D. Raines, and I picked him because he was the first Black CEO of a Fortune 500 company, like the first man to do it in 1999. So I sent my list before Dion's in the group message, so y'all got to talk to him about what's going on there. But I picked him, like, not even, like, I know he's in, like, he has scrutiny recently because of the Fannie Mae stuff, but the reason I picked him is very simple, is because he's the first Black man of a Fortune 500 company. Like, there's always been a cap, there's always been a ceiling, like, yeah, you can get a job, but, like, you can only go so high. Or, yeah, you can start your own business, but your business is only going to get so high. So the fact that he was able to be like, nah, I'm going to be a CEO of a Fortune 500 company. I'm going to reach not the top of the top, but basically the top of the top is like, I'm breaking down all these barriers so that y'all can do this too. I'm going to be inspiration that, hey, look, there's a Black man in the seat of power. There's nothing stopping you from getting here. It's not reserved for whites only. This is a Black man can be here just like anybody else. So that's literally the only reason I picked it, just because it's like inspirational for people. Like, for me, it's not like, that's not my type of aspiration to like desire that, but so many people want to have that power. So many people think they can't reach these heights because they think that it's not for Black people. So the fact that he was just able to break that barrier was just big, very big.
Yeah, that's a good pick, Joe. Your pick probably inspired, well, I don't know how directly, but I picked Michael Jeffrey Jordan as an entrepreneur. Mainly, we all know Michael for his game, or, people debate him as a GOAT, or the greatest basketball player ever, but really his moves as an entrepreneur changed the planet. Like, coming into the game, like when he came into the game, it was Converse that everybody liked. Magic Johnson, Isaiah Thomas, Larry Bird, they were all like endorsed Converse. This man made Nike into a billionaire, like multi-billionaire company, you know what I'm saying? And it was just through his play and through his brand. And just to see how global he went and how he touched people in, different parts of the world. Like, you saw The Last Dance. You saw how, it was like a show just to see him. And for him to put that into the sneaker company, for him to, like, the brand, Air Jordan, just that, people wearing the shoes thinking they could play like he, selling that, to me, it's an amazing feat. And the sneaker culture, man, he created the sneaker culture right now. Like, there's a whole market of sneakers. Like, I bought the Carmines last week. Like, that costs me a lot, but it's an asset now. Like, my stock, my sneaker stock portfolio is ridiculous right now because of this man. And I thank this man because, shoot, like, me and my cousin were talking about how, like, the sneaker culture is, like, really profitable. Like, one of my cousins is, like, doing, like, a business because of that, because he has so many sneakers. So just to see how, like, that has impacted, the world and just people like me, average Joe people, like, I definitely put him in there. And he also, man, put so much money into the NBA. Like, he's the reason why guys like LeBron can get like 40 million, 30 million, and all these big max contracts. Some of them I think are overpaid, but that's a whole nother thing. But he's the reason for that. Like, he's the reason why, like, there's so much money in endorsements and people even getting endorsed before they show how good they are. He's the reason. So, and he's the first billionaire basketball player was a billionaire athlete? Yeah, athlete. And he hasn't played basketball in over 20-something years. And sneakers is number one. Like, LeBron is 2, and it's by like a distance. So that's just, his greatness is, and he inspired people like Jay-Z too. Like, I know Jay-Z said he's the Michael Jordan of rap, but that's a whole nother thing again. But it's like his inspiration goes to every black person, But as an entrepreneur, he's the greatest. He's one of the greatest athletes. But yeah.
I just had 2 things I wanted to add on, simply because it's at the top of my mind. I heard Michael was super competitive, and that's part of the reason he was able to grow so greatly.
Yeah, took everything personally.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And to my second point, with Joe's candidate, that's really cool to hear. Just especially in 1999 when all these regulations were getting passed, as far as the sort of like the social aspect of things. It's really cool to see that someone was able to pierce that, glass ceiling like you were talking about. But yeah, we can totally move on. That's all I wanted to say.
Yeah, so move on to the next category. Artists. Chris, who you got?
Cool. I got Cab Calloway. And unlike my other 2.
Ooh.
Oh, you know Cab Calloway?
I love Cab Calloway.
Yeah, see? I do too. And that's why I chose him too, because I was just trying to think of another person. I was just like, who don't people know that I feel like they should? Cab Calloway. Easy pick. It's easy money. And unlike my other 2, he was not born a slave. He was born like 1925 in Rochester, New York. But he actually grew up here in Maryland, Baltimore. And both his parents were educated. His mother went to Morgan State, and his father went to Lincoln University. And he even worked as a lawyer. So they were, fairly well off. They were a middle class family, even as a black family. So they were, doing by standards back then pretty well. Both parents were educated and even had a lawyer as a parent. They might as well have been the Huxtables back then, education wise anyway. And he was one of the most probably can't talk, but like I know him and Dion know him, but y'all don't know him. But he was actually probably one of the most influential people in music, and you don't even really realize it because he's influenced like people like Michael Jackson, Janet, various others that they've influenced. Like if you like to watch the way he moves, like you can kind of see. Granted, like he's doesn't dance like Michael, but you can see where Michael takes, or where you can see where somebody like Michael would get his influence. Like Cab Calloway liked to do like a lot of spins and stuff, and he liked to like glide across the floor. He was a very performative person, and while he was like extremely famous for like all his musical escapades and stuff, he was actually very famous on vaudeville as well, because like while he was actually performing his musical performances, he was actually kind of like doing like a little comedy act and stuff in a way. And you can even see that if you I don't know if you guys ever seen the movie Blues Brothers. I think it's Blues Brothers 2000, maybe, or maybe the other one. I can't remember. But you will see an old Cab Calloway in there singing to some kids, and you can even see like Trent Henson there and there too, because it's the way he sings, it's the way he presents it. It's just like he's his own person, his own beast. I don't think you could say he copied anybody, because I don't think that would work for anybody else. And let me see here. He actually won, or he was actually here. Let me bring this up so I don't lie to you. He was a big part of the Harlem Renaissance, as well as the first African-American musician to sell 1 million records and have a song nationally syndicated on a radio show, which is also extremely impressive back in the day too.
Yeah. Harlem Renaissance changed how, especially for Black people, how they viewed music.
Yes.
Very important time.
And he was, and even here it says, from my description of him, singer, dancer, and band leader, Cab Calloway led one of the most popular African-American big bands during jazz and swing eras of the 1930s, 1940s, with the famous Harlem club, Cotton Club, as his home stage. And it's just, I could go on and on, but I feel like it'd be a little bit too much. But I will say he, after he died, he got a Grammy Lifetime Award achievement, but that was 18 years later. No, 14 years later, yeah. And he also got he was in the Grammy Hall of Fame for his Minnie the Moocher, which I don't know if you guys have heard that song, but it's also a very good song.
Yeah. I was actually watching before I got on, I was watching the Michael Jackson Off the Wall documentary. He was one of the names mentioned as inspirations to Michael. Him, Sammy Davis Jr., James Brown, Jackie Wilson. So I definitely see that correlation.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's just pretty influential. There's so much that you were just listing off as far as his achievements and just his contributions to music in general. Thank you. But what was I about to say? Yeah, I didn't. I honestly didn't know he was running around in the Cotton Club, vaudeville. Black man circus kind of era acts and stuff. Like that's really cool. Like see how he adapted his performance and became so unique from that gauntlet, if you will.
Yeah, and that's what made him so like unique back then too, because like not only was he like a I guess I won't say icon, because it was it was in Black audiences where he was very popular, but I guess you could say Black icon, which would make more sense. But like it was just the way he would perform himself. Like he's always keeping the audience like entertained no matter what's happening. Like even like before here, I saw because I just wanted to see it again because I hadn't seen it in a while. Like his Minnie the Moocher back in like 1938, he performed in front of an audience. Even there, he just like he would hold notes to a comical length, and like he's competing against like his own like band behind him, and then like you can hear like the audience like laughing because like they can like hear him changing as the band is changing, and it's just like it was kind of impressive, but at the same time it was funny. So I get where like all this is like coming from. He was just like a overall showsman.
Yeah,
he try to like show that in every performance.
Chris, can you do a Cab Calloway spin for us?
I can't. I'm on carpet.
Can you sing a Cab Calloway song for us?
I can't. My throat a little sore. Maybe next time. I got you.
I have no more requests.
Yeah, okay. That was a good one, Abe. Chris. But hey, what's the next one, Abe? I'm gonna get.
All right, so I will go by Chris for now on. Okay, let's see. Yeah, so I remember when I was in France, just outside the Hotel de Ville, I was looking at this huge banner, this poster of this march. It was about humanitarian heroes, going around and stuff. And I remember reading a little bit about Mario Franco when I was there, but I was like, this was sad, it struck to me on a heart level. I mean, it struck a heartstring. So just going forward, let's get started. Yeah, so Mario Franco was a city councilwoman in the city of Rio de Janeiro and a member of the Party of Socialism and Liberty, but she was also a member of the LGBTQ community as well as a human rights activist that spoke out against police brutality at the favelas or the slums of her city. So, which I thought was really cool was Franco originally got a scholarship to dig herself out of her hometown and went forward and went to school. What happened to my document? Disappeared. Sorry. My script disappeared. Okay.
Difficulties.
Yeah, technical issues. But anyway, she had the nerve, the audacity, if you will, to write her master thesis on the decline of favelas in 3 letters. And it was really controversial because what she examined was the pacifying of police units. And she went further to say that that the police are using they're used as a law enforcement tool called the pacifying police units to take control over the city's favelas, because there's such it's a lot of contraband inside those areas as far as things that are not part of the formal economy. So you can see why a lot of people want to get their hands on it. So she pointed this out, and she was at a political rally, and unfortunately, she was cut down and assassinated. And she was going to move in with her living girlfriend, with her kid that year too, and it was just like really sad. But her death caused a lot of controversy because she was clearly assassinated. A lot of documents went missing. Even Amnesty International, along with the UN, wanted an investigative report. But hey, it's Brazil. So, that's all I have to share for her.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What year? What year did she pass?
2019.
2019. Okay.
Yeah, so like literally 2 years ago.
Yeah. Well, what do you think was the motive? If it was an assassination, what do you think the motive was?
It could be literally anything. I'm gonna skip over a lot of stuff, but particularly Brazil is just a difficult area to voice your opinions.
Okay, yeah, I get it. I get it.
So when you speak out against the government or just a police state, it could cause a lot of controversy. So,
in countries like, I don't know specifically Ghana, but I know Nigeria had that issue recently. But I get it. Yeah.
Yeah, especially speaking against the police. So not really the greatest strategy.
So if anyone doesn't want to say anything, I'll go next. I picked Nas, one of the greatest rappers of our lifetime, one of the greatest lyricists ever. Not
too familiar with him.
Yeah, a lot of people might not be familiar with Nas, man. Some people, guys like Lonzo Ball and whoever, a lot of these little kids, they say crazy things, but I have to educate the people. If it wasn't for Nas, a lot of your favorite rappers wouldn't be here. He came out, I think he started like in 91 with Large Professor and his group, but he wasn't really known yet. He was just on the mixtape scene. But what really got him going was his first album, Illmatic, which is like, for people, I don't know about this generation because this generation doesn't really know, but for the past generations, that's like a hip hop Bible to them. Like it was the first like rap album to like have multiple big producers. It had DJ Premier, Large Professor, Pete Rock, Q-Tip. Like prior to his time, like in the 80s, like Rakim and KRS-One and Dr. Dre, it was just one producer that did your album. Like Snoop had Dr. Dre do his album, Rakim had Eric B, Public Enemy had the Bomb Squad. It was only one producer that would do your album, but Illmatic was the first rap album where you had like multiple big time producers on it. And when that album dropped, it didn't sell. It wasn't a commercial success at first because it was like really raw. It was like really street. But over time, it got acclaimed because it was like he was speaking for people in that specific time. But as Nas grew, he did get his commercial performance did get better. It was like one of those albums when it came out, people didn't like it because they felt like he was going for a commercial sound. He had the song with Lauryn Hill, If I Ruled the World. People were a little shaky about it because it was a commercial sound. And he's one of those guys that people wanted him to be like underground and still like speak that like hard, aggressive stuff. So around like after it was written around like 99, he dropped 2 albums that were kind of considered flops. It was I Am and Nostradamus. And he had the commercial appeal, and then y'all mentioned the dude's name. Him and Jay-Z had a little beef, and Jay-Z did Takeover, and they thought it was over for Nas after that. Like literally, the industry thought it was over, and then he dropped Ether, and dropped a better album after that called Stillmatic, which is my favorite Nas album personally. So he's just after that he continued to put out stuff. He's always been an artist like casual people or like casual music fans wouldn't really get into because he's very deep. He's very conscious. Like he inspires guys like Kendrick, J. Cole, those type of guys. He wouldn't inspire a guy like Drake. Like a Drake is more of like a Jay-Z, like though that would be his inspiration. But like Nas definitely, to me, when it comes to lyricism, definitely changed hip hop because when he came out, nobody was rapping like that dude. And then like guys like Eminem and everybody else, like Jay-Z, Big Pun, everybody just Wu-Tang, all of them just stepped their game up after him. So I contribute him to being like the guy that really changed like rap lyricism. So yeah, that's a little history on Nas.
Is Nas your GOAT?
In hip hop, I don't have a GOAT because I think it's too subjective and it's too.
I'm talking about rappers. For you personally, is he?
No, I don't have a personal GOAT because if you ask me, if you ask me, it'd be Jay-Z or Nas. Like because those two like the most consistent, most successful for the past 10, 20 years. Like the only guy that like that's alive that I think could go with him is Kendrick, just because he's consistently dropped stuff that's like I've never heard a rapper like do this and maybe J. Cole, if it's because he's about to put out some stuff. But
does Eminem not count, or you just not counting?
Eminem is a different.
Eminem doesn't count.
Eminem, okay, that. Eminem. Let me just be respectful here. Eminem is arguably the greatest lyricist ever. Me personally, when I listen to music, I have different things I like. Eminem, he gives me like, he's the motivator. Like he has a lot of motivative songs, like Lose Yourself, I'm Not Afraid. He like, if you want to be motivated to win, listen to Eminem. All his other type of content is kind of, talk about killing his mom and all that. I don't relate to that beat. Like, it's cool. Like, what's that song he did? I'm sorry, mom. Never meant to. What's that song called? Clean Out My Closet. That's a dope song. That's a dope song, but I don't relate to that type of stuff. I'm like, so Eminem's a great. Like, I always say, if you think Eminem's the greatest, toast to you. I personally just don't. He's in my top 3 lyricists. That's
my bad. Let's go back to the black people.
Yeah, but that's that's Nas. But Dion or Joe.
I think Jovi. I think that finger was pointing at me. So, it's crazy, right? That Chris picked Cab Calloway because one of the biggest members in Cab Calloway's band was Dizzy Gillespie. And Dizzy Gillespie actually had an album with the person who I selected, who, in my opinion, is the greatest artist of all time, but I'm very biased in that, John Coltrane. Who I think when you know, like, if you couldn't tell by my reaction to Chris's Cab Calloway, I love jazz music. I love music, but specifically jazz music. And they were born around the same time. John Coltrane, unfortunately, had a shorter life. I think he died when he was like 40. But I think when you think of jazz, a lot of people who know jazz think of the Cab Callaways or the Miles Davises or Thelonious Monk or Louis Armstrong, like all these people. But I'm like, for me, the first person I always think of is John Coltrane because of the diversity that he had in his music. But like, when I just think of John Coltrane, I think of cool, right? This man is the smoothest, like, I'm gonna sound real old head. I'm gonna start to sound like Pete a little bit, but he was like, if I could describe John Coltrane in a sentence, he would be the smoothest cat on the block. Like his music, he started kind of with in that big band, like how Cab Calloway was doing in that era. And then he kind of transitioned into more of a bebop and a hard bop, like the jazz that you know, when you think of jazz, you think of that. And then he kind of later in his career transferred into free jazz and kind of, it's a bit out there. So if you're not like used to it, it kind of sounds really weird. But at the heart of his career, like this man died when he was 40 and he put out, it's nearing 20 albums. Like he was putting out music consistently. I think his first album came out in 1957, Coltrane, but he was consistently putting out music, and it wasn't like there was never any misses. Like you were talking about Kendrick, who don't miss. Like John Coltrane ain't never miss. And like even like today, like his songs will be in, I don't know if you guys know the song In a Sentimental Mood, but if you hear I don't remember what movie it was in, but it's in like a lot of romance movies, but his movies his music transcends like his time period, and to the point where I think my love of Phineas and Ferb grew after I don't know if y'all remember the episode of the black dude that was on there. His name was what was it, Train or John? It was something like that, but his character was based off of John Coltrane. Yeah. And I feel like I was the only person who knew what this was. I was like, yo, do y'all not see this? Like, I picked John Coltrane, yes, because he's my favorite artist, but in terms of like his life was very interesting. Like he was actually addicted to cocaine, and he was in Miles Davis' band, and Miles Davis actually was like, nah, you can't be in my band anymore because you have to get off of these drugs. And so like he went through a lot, but and eventually he started playing for his church and everything. But and I think he did die off of overdose if I'm not mistaken. But it's just like he one, people know him from the saxophone, but he played flute, he played clarinet, he played bass clarinet. Like he was just such an influential artist who worked with all of the top artists. Like I said, he worked with Dizzy Gillespie, Miles Davis, Thelonious Monk, like all of these people who are like known for jazz music. And even to go into a little bit of I don't want to get into a history lesson, but like blues is the foundation of American music. Like a lot of people don't know that, but like not talking about like, you know, just music all over the world, but specifically American music, technically bluegrass, but bluegrass blues, if you listen to it, is very similar in terms of like the way that they played like bluegrass uses banjo, but blues uses bass, but it's very similar. Yeah. And that turned into country, which turned into slow rock and roll, which it turned into what we all have now. But a lot of people don't know that the foundation of the music, like the foundation of Taylor Swift came from blues. The foundation of what we're hearing with Jay-Z and Nas and Eminem and all the people that we're talking about came from jazz. And I think it's just crazy to just go back and think of like, because we're talking about Black History Month, I'm talking about like the influence that our music had, because blues, came from traditional music back in Africa, and we brought that here to create blues. But that is the foundation of every song on the charts that you hear now came from this. And John Coltrane, in my opinion, is the greatest musician that did jazz music that came directly from blues. But when Chris said Cab Calloway, I was like, yo, that's crazy.
So you stealing from everybody's suggestions, huh?
No, but it's kind of funny that you brought that up this week because, well, not last week. I guess
2 weeks ago.
But I brought up BB King.
Yeah.
And we talking about like how blues to jazz to like rock and roll and to like all this stuff.
Yeah.
Before, so
That's what I was there to add.
That week I picked Little Richard.
Mm-hmm.
So it was going from what Chris was going to, like, you know, rock and roll, like soft rock and roll, but Little Richard was
like even when you start going back like way back and start listening to what the Mudrakers or whatnot, Mud Splashers, they were a blues band down in Mississippi, but they have all the correct instruments and orientation for modern day rock and roll, which is really cool stuff to look at. And you're just sitting here thinking about, that started with the colors, you know, with the blacks. They don't want to give us nothing anyway.
That's a whole
the craziest thing is like when you think of like the king of rock, Elvis. It's widely believed that Elvis stole a lot of his music.
Yeah, he did.
And like, it's crazy because it's like he is widely considered, you know, the greatest. And don't get me wrong, I love Elvis's music. Elvis makes some good music, but it's like a lot of that he got from us. And it's crazy because like you were saying, like the evolution of music, like I'm not gonna say black people invented music or anything, but like the basis of American music was founded on our music. And then like for someone who loves music, Pete loves music. I think all of us love music. Like to know that is just like, you know, y'all wouldn't be here without us.
Not to harp on the Elvis thing, but when I know for when people say Eminem is the Elvis of hip hop, I think that's very unfair. That's an unfair kind of like a backhanded compliment. Like
it is.
Because it's like at the end of the day, Eminem has never stole anything.
No.
Like the boy's just nice. So anytime I hear that, I get kind of annoyed. But Jovi, you got?
I have one of the loudest humans on planet Earth, where most people know him. You love him or you hate him, Mr. Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. I chose Stephen A. because he is, I think it's fair to say, he's the face of ESPN at this point. And when you think of sports, you think of ESPN. And the fact that your mind goes from sports, ESPN, who's the first person I think of on ESPN? The black guy. It's just like powerful. But I just wanted to like give a little history on Stephen A. because I first heard him talking about his come up on the All the Smoke podcast. And Stephen A.'s trip to where he is now was just nuts career wise. So I'm just gonna like rate it like line for line. So just deal with me for a bit.
All right.
So he started off in Winston-Salem Journal as a writer. In 1994, he started with the Philadelphia Inquirer, reporting for the 76ers. In 2007, the Inquirer announced that Stephen A. would no longer be writing columns and would be demoted back to a general assignment reporter. And then in 2008, they fired him. So in 2008, Stephen A. is unemployed. Then, while he was writing, he had started his career, though, with ESPN. So it wasn't like he was just, like, done. But he first started off with his television career on a channel called CNNSI in 1999. In 2005, he started working in an ESPN show called Quite Frankly with Stephen A. Smith. And then that show was canceled in 2007. And then he became a basketball analyst for a little bit. Started showing up on Sports Center every now and then. He left ESPN May 1st in 2009. Then he later returned to ESPN in 2012 when he started on First Take. And then after that, it was history. But just like seeing like he got somewhere, he got cut. He got somewhere, he got cut. It's just like, dang, like you think Stephen A., you think success. Like this man probably never took an L in his professional career. But the fact that he got smacked down multiple times and got back up, still being, I'm sure he couldn't have been anybody but the loudmouth person that he is now. But the fact that he's climbed to the ranks of, I am the highest paid broadcaster on ESPN, making $8 million a year. When you think of ESPN, you think of me. Like, whether you like his personality, whether you like his antics, like, you have to respect the grind that he put in and the position that he's gotten to as a black man. So I don't listen to him like that no more, just because I've heard enough of
blasphemy.
The blasphemy to stay off the weed, and now I'm hearing yeah, I hear all of it, but it's all respect for what he was able to do and where he got to.
Yeah, I've also like I'm a huge Stephen A. Smith fan. As you see, I try to do is impress him and all that, but just to give you a little bit more on him, he actually got in school. He was considered not a smart kid. Like he
was bad at what they say. He wasn't well spoken or something like. Yeah.
He had a and then like from there on, he went to Salem State and killed it. And then he was I think he played basketball for Salem State, and then he was like a B reporter for like the local team after. And then, you know, he went from there. But just to see his grind, because he comes from Queens, like that's not like and especially that's not an easy place to grow up. So to see his grind is amazing, and you know, I'm a huge fan. So
I guess we all just Stephen A. lovers, because I'm another one where like Stephen, like I love sports as well as music, but I used to want to be on TV to talk about sports. And so Stuart Scott and Stephen A. Smith were two, as a young kid, those are who I looked up to. And it's to see like, especially like, I don't know if y'all remember what First Take was, but before First Take Cold Pizza.
Oh yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
To see First Take how it is now, and everybody, Cold Pizza was just this show. I think Skip Bayless was still on there at that point.
Skip, and he would get like people to come in from time to time.
Yeah, but it was like it was on ESPN2. It wasn't even on ESPN. It was on ESPN2, and it was just there. And then they brought Stephen A. in. I think they had already changed. I don't know if they had changed their name yet, or if they did it at the same time he came.
He had a little section called Embrace Debate, where they would like talk for like an hour.
So when it became First Take, and it's crazy because like Stephen A. embraces it now. Like he knows First Take is his show. Yeah. And so he'll go on there, he'll just be talking it up. He'll be like, yo, y'all have me today. And it's crazy to see, like you're saying, like, I think I just texted you the other day, like, yo, Stephen A. Smith just be loud for no reason. But it's like, he can do that. He has earned his spot to do whatever he wants, because he like literally, I'm under the belief that if Stephen A. Smith left ESPN, they would crumble, because he is literally like holding them up on his back.
Yeah,
like he just talks over his co-host all the time, and it's so embarrassing. And I'm just like, this man, like, you're the reason I watched the show, you know. And then you have and then you always, I don't know who it is. You always got the random girl who's trying to like organize.
Molly Carroll.
Yeah, she tried her best, but she can't always contain her. Like
Molly, one of the most hated people on TV.
I miss Carrie Champion.
What's crazy is Jalen Rose is slowly becoming one of my favorite personalities in TV, in sports TV. And for him to be married to Molly, who like, I honestly think it's because Carrie had left, but I'm just like, Molly.
Carrie was good.
Yeah, I love Carrie. But just Stephen A. Smith, like I think what got him really hot at ESPN when they were talking about Tebow and LeBron.
Yeah.
Before LeBron won the championship, and when Tebow went on that,
my friend Tim Tebow.
Yeah, that was honestly. I go back and watch that, and when he talks about the Cowboys, all those compilations.
I love Stephen A. But that's the point in which I got to turn it off. That's when I got
the Cowboys stuff be A1.
Yeah. He has a whole separate personality for Cowboys now.
Literally.
And I don't even know. Well, I guess he does now, but like even like back in the day, like when we were back at high school, like I don't know if I know Peter and Avery won't know, but you two definitely know because we were all at Frederick High. But like I just remember like sitting because I was always quiet, so I would sit back and watch y'all go at it, especially when EJ would get there with y'all. But it was just like to me, like it felt like I was just watching a whole bunch of Stephen A's just go at it the whole time. And I would just like probably like Gabe or somebody would just like sit back and laugh with me or something watching y'all. But it was just like I don't like he's like influenced the culture so much that the way that we argue about the game is the same way that he like reports it every day, and that's crazy.
No cap, like one more Stephen A. made arguing about sports fun. Like there's a point where I think it was probably a conversation with Dion and Jonah, just like, bro, we could do this. Like, we could go on TV and talk about sports all day. Like, like you never would have thought that debating sports would be so fun, but he just made it a literal thing.
Yeah.
He created a sub industry because now you have Shannon and Skip doing it over there, but that's all based off of what Stephen A. did. And then another point that I don't think you touched on, but he's also really, really well respected, specifically in the NBA, because he would always talk about the stories because like they knew that Stephen A. when he was a reporter wouldn't go and just be telling everybody's business. Like he'd be keeping it real with them. He'd like, yo, like what's up? And people like, I think he was talking about Allen Iverson, how he had beef with AI when he was working in Philly for the longest, but they came to like respect each other because AI knew like he wasn't saying anything that was out of pocket. Cause there's a lot of these reporters, and that's why with certain topics that Stephen A. Smith talk about, I really pay attention because he knows where he's like, when he's talking about Kyrie and all of these things, where he's like, look, like, you need friends in the industry because there's going to be people out here that's just going to be saying whatever about you and they don't even know. And Stephen A. made it a point that before I even talk about you, like, I need to know who you are. He did that with Kobe. He did that with AI. He did it with Shaq. Like, he's like, I'm going to build a relationship with you before I'm just out here talking about you. And I really like, even outside of like all the stuff that we know him for, I think that might be one of the biggest things as someone who used to, I don't want to do it now, but used to want to talk about sports for a living. Like, I really respected him for that.
And even beyond that, like he says that he'll talk to people, and like when someone tells him something, he'll be like, and if they ask him not to say it, he'll be like, I won't report it. But his caveat is just like, if I see someone else report it, I'm gonna be pissed. But if you tell me this in confidence and you don't want me to report it, then I'm gonna keep this to myself. And just like, you don't see that. There's some people be like, oh my goodness, this is a hot topic. Like, I know, like, we're cool and all that, but this is gonna get bread on my table. But the fact that he's even in a position now, it's like I can choose what to report and what not to. Just like, enough for that.
It even shows his professionalism, just having some integrity with trying to publish this or not.
Yeah, man.
I mean, that tanks so many careers. I won't get into it because I'm long and winded, but yeah.
And if you ever hear him talk on a podcast off of First Take or off of ESPN, he's a phenomenal speaker.
He is.
He just he's calm. He doesn't stumble on. He's someone who just is good to listen to.
Yeah, because I don't think people like realize like he is like while we'll say like, oh, that's not true, that's not that, like the fact like he's not scared to take the position of a contrarian. Yeah, like he might say something like because to me, just like observing him, he might say something that he probably doesn't necessarily believe, but like he has to like get you to talk about it somehow, right? Mm-hmm. So if both hosts are just like agreeing the whole time, who's gonna watch that? Like,
I think he does a lot of acting with his work.
It is the people he argues with. It's easy for him to like Skip Bayless. Come on,
yeah. It's easy for him. I'm sure he does some too, but it's just like I feel like Stephen A. is just because like the personality that he can put on, the loudness, the words he uses, he's become like a unique fixture that hasn't been like presented before. And then he'll even say
go ahead. No, I was just gonna say to the point where he has his own character on General Hospital. Because like he's come to the point where he's transcending sports. He has his own character on General. I don't watch General Hospital, but I've seen his skits on there. They're pretty funny. But it's just like that's crazy. Like this is a dude, like you were saying, that started off as a beat reporting just talking about sports, and now this man is. I really want him to get into acting because I feel like he would be. If not great at it, pretty good.
He was in he was in How I Think I Love My Wife something. Okay. Yeah. Forgot the name of the movie. It's a movie with about him loving his wife or not loving his wife anymore. Mm-hmm. But yeah, Stephen A. was in that.
Shout out Stephen A.
Yeah, he inspired this show. I'll tell you that. The whole idea of creating this podcast was honestly.
I thought it was Breakfast Club. I thought that was the inspiration.
Both. Honestly, both, because I grew up listening to both. Like after school, just listening to both. So I think he's definitely a big factor. But yeah, man. Thank you guys for coming on the show, man.
Thank you for having me.
Some other, guests to spice it up, give us a whole vibe, different, people. I think y'all gave some good people. I ain't gonna hold y'all came up with some good people. Ave, Chris, especially Chris with the some of that. Chris, I got to move with yours, bro.
Told you, boys. That's what I came out here to do, man. Mission accomplished.
Ooh, yours. But yeah, give me 1 second here. Give me 1 second here. That's it for the show today. This episode will be on YouTube at 3:15 on Monday. So catch us. Please subscribe, like, and comment. Please, we need engagement. Please, we need engagement. That's what we need. You can catch us on all podcast services: Apple, Google, Spotify, all of the, y'all know.
Except Pandora.
Yeah.
Podbean. Shout out Podbean.
Our social media page is Out of the Berg on IG. I won't be sharing my personal one because I'm not on IG right now. I am on Twitter though, at Kobe Peter.
I love the new artwork that y'all have, by the way. That joint is dope.
Appreciate that.
You finally someone noticed that we have changed our homepage, if you will.
Yeah.
Our icon.
Who did it?
This dude I knew through Sion. It's called Kellogg FNPG. Yeah.
I'll put his logo up again.
Yeah.
Chris, you can go.
All right, cool. It's Big Chris 57 on Twitter and Big Chris _57. It on IG. I forget. I'm gonna remember
this by now, Chris. You do this every week.
Literally every week. It's literally. You think I will remember after like a year and some change, and I just don't.
Maybe you could keep a sticky note on the computer.
I was gonna do that like 6 months ago, and I still haven't.
Yeah. What about Ave?
You can find me at Irikupa, capital KLOPA at IG. I need to update it.
Dion.
You can find me on IG at DMOE24, on Twitter at MoreMamba24. My name, if you see a picture of Alex Caruso with his shirt off celebrating the Lakers championship, that is me.
I am JT Taylor _33 on Instagram. Follow me, engage. Mr. 58 _33 on Twitter, on there less. And I am Jennings 187 on Cash App if you're feeling friendly.
Don't send him no money, y'all. Don't send him
Too much. That's how you get demonetized. Anyway, thank you guys.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in this week. We'll be back again 2 weeks from now. Stay black, stay woke. We love y'all.
Bye.